We now continue with the Course in Miracles, text chapter 21, Reason and Perception. And we go to 21.8, the last unanswered question. I'm going to go through this one slowly because this is vital. And let me just start off with saying the most important question anyone asks in this world, and it's the beginning of the journey inward question. It's the question that sets it all off is, what am I? What are we? Where is this? What is God? What am I? Why am I here? Where is here? But the first question is always, what am I? Now, the last unanswered question is a derivative of what am I? We'll get to it. So the unanswered question remains to do with function and purpose and meaning. But let's go into it slowly so that it becomes completely clear, because this is one of those transcendent moments in the journey of the Course, because it's going to shift you. If it doesn't shift you, you haven't fully understood it, and it's vital that you do. You do not see that all your misery comes from the strange belief that you are powerless. Being helpless is the cost of sin. And sin in this point, sin is illusion, believing in fear, guilt, sin. Helplessness, and who hasn't felt helpless at some stage in their life? Is sin's condition. It's the condition of the illusion. The one requirement that it demands to be believed. And severely, it affects you as the victim of the world. You've been attacked by people all the time. And on the opposite side of the coin is, you're going to conquer the world and make sure the world can't hurt you. So one becomes the victim and one becomes the bully, the oppressor, the oppressed and the oppressor. And the oppressed believes that the oppressed will never stand up and rise to the occasion. And therefore they need to be controlled because they don't know what's good for them. And yet the oppressed believe that the oppressor is the reason why they're oppressed. And we have to overthrow the oppressor. And the minute you need to overthrow the oppressor, you have to become the oppressed. And so it just moves into circular reason. If you want to see that in live action, come to South Africa, where the once oppressed are now the oppressors, and the once oppressors are now the oppressed. And nothing's changed, just the power of color. You know what I'm getting at. And yet, the healing lies in the forgiveness process and letting go of the past and letting go of racing. Only the helpless could believe in it. Enormity has no appeal to save to the little. Save to the little. What is enormity that appeals to the little? Grandiosity. Look at me, look at what I have, power, control. And only those who first believe that they are little could see attraction there. 2:1-2, ambition. We look up at people that are ambitious and driven and create empires. Why? Because we believe that's the only way to get rid of the fear. Well, do you want to tell me that the richest person in the world doesn't fear the death of self? Or the death of himself as a body-mind? At some stage in there, no matter how many billions they have, that body's still coming to an end. So no matter how much power they accumulated, how much wealth they amassed, that fear of death, if they have no sense of self, is coming to each and every single one of us. Treachery to the Son of God, treachery to thyself, is the defense of those who do not identify with it. So the world, the ego mind, sees it as treachery if you don't agree with the idea of separateness. And you are for him or against him. Either you love him or attack him. Protect his unity or see him shattered and slain by your own attack. And so treachery to the Son of God in truth is not realizing you are him, and him not individually, but as a shared being in that which is the Christ, that which is the Son of God. No one believes the Son of God is powerless. No one believes Jesus is powerless. But if they objectify the Jesus outside themselves, they don't realize it's the shared beings, the shared self. And if you'd realize the shared self is not powerless, what is it that you couldn't do if you realized all the might and power of God is given you to do what? To extend the power and love of God, the love of God, not to create empires, but to share unconditionally the light which is our shared being. And those who see themselves as helpless must believe that they are not the Son of God, because they can't believe that you're the Son of God and think of yourself as helpless and not know that you're the Son of God. If you believe you're helpless, you don't recognize the shared being of God. And the only way that you'll recognize it is to step out of the victim, step out of the telling of the story, step out of the idea that you've been bullied or the world is unfair, and to realize it's all happening to you, through you, for you, that you may recognize you have that self-same essence, that almighty power of the Almighty Creator. To extend the power of God, the love of God, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to make known the forgotten and realize the joy that is the love of self, that is the love of God. You cannot love yourself. That's self-help stories. Love yourself. If you only loved yourself, you could do everything. You can't love yourself. Who is loving who? How can a separate self be loved? But you can recognize the love of capital S self, the Holy Self, the Holy Son of God self, the love of self, not the love for self, but the love of self that is shared with all ourselves, fractured as one Holy Son of God. What can they be except his enemy? In the realization that they're separate, as opposed to the realization we are one. And what can they do but envy him, his power, and by their envy make themselves afraid of it? And that's what we do when we externalize the Christ and objectify it as a Jesus or objectify it as a God outside ourselves. We envy the power of Jesus and then fear that we've done something to him, or that he'll punish us, or that we aren't worthy of him. And that's the mistake many teachers of God do by keep repeating, Jesus spoke to me. No, he did not. The Christ speaks to you nonstop. The Christ as you speaks to yourself as yourself. But there is no Jesus talking to you, or Zeus from the planet Marduk, or whatever it is. Those channeled stories are absolutely untrue. Because what are you channeling but self? Either the sleeping separate self in its fractured identities, or the shared being with God. That's the only truth you can share, and the only truth you channel, because you are the channel of truth. And so what are we afraid of? And who are those that are afraid? These are the dark ones, shadows, the shadow fractured self, silent and afraid, alone and not communicating, fearful of the power of the Son of God will strike them then and raise up their helplessness against him. They join the army of the powerless, the victims of the world, to wage war of their war of vengeance, bitterness, and in spite and spite on him, to make him one with them, because they do not know that they are one with him. They know not whom they hate and whom they attack. When you attack a brother, you attack the self, you attack the Christ, you attack God. When you see vengeance, or you see sin, or you see error in the world, you but attack yourself as that which is the Holy Son of God, and thus you attack your brothers too. They are indeed a sorry army, each one as likely to attack his brother or turn upon himself as to remember that they thought they had a common cause. And what's interesting about these characters even in their common cause, they still attack each other within that group. Frantic and loud and strong, the dark ones seem to be, powerful, raging, physical entities. Yet they know not their enemy, except they hate him. And who's their enemy? Their many me's. In hatred, they have come together, but they have not joined each other. So they come together, but they never join as one. And no sooner are they in power, and they start fighting amongst each other. You see that in the political environment or any social environment in this world. Or had they done so, hatred would be impossible. If they had joined as one, how do you attack yourself? The armies of the powerless must be disbanded in the presence of strength. Those who are strong are never treacherous, because they have no need to dream of power and to act out their dream, because all they do is they want to share of themselves completely and wholly. How would an army act in dreams? Any way at all. It could be seen attacking anyone with anything. Dreams have no reason in them. In a dream, a flower turns into a poisoned spear. A child becomes a giant, and a mouse roars like a lion. And lovers turn to haters easily. This is no army, but a madhouse. What seems to be a planned attack is a bedlam. The army of the powerless is weak indeed. It has no weapons, and it has no enemy. Yes, it can be overrun the world. Yes, it can overrun the world and seek an enemy, and it does. But it can never find what was not there. Yes, it can dream. It can dream it found an enemy. But this will shift even as it attacks. And so you find a problem, you create a solution, and as soon as you find a solution, there's another problem. You have an enemy, you conquer the enemy, and then another enemy attacks you. It never ends. Why? Because the enemies within, projected outwards, always coming back at you to overthrow the you thought you were. And so that it runs at once to find another and never comes to rest in victory. And as it runs, it turns against itself, thinking it caught a glimpse of a great enemy who always eludes its murderous attacking by turning into something else. See all these wonderful movies, and and so there's always the dark night of the soul, and the good guys are attacked, and eventually they conquer their attacker, and then it's happily ever after. And the next movie you watch, someone else is being attacked. Now they made the world better, and then you got version 2 and version 3, and it never ends. Think of Lord of the Rings. They conquer at the end of every episode, every series, they conquer the enemy, and then the enemy returns in series 2, and so forth and so forth. How treacherous does this enemy appear, who changes so it's impossible even to recognize him? How often are you shifting and changing? How often do you recognize yourself? Yet hate must have a target. There can be no faith in sin without an enemy. Think about the religions of this world. They need the devil. They need an enemy. They need to believe in sin. Who that believes in sin would dare to believe he has no enemy? Could he admit that no one made him powerless? Reason would surely bid him seek no longer what there is not to find. 2,000 years later, we're still regurgitating Satan. We're still crucifying Jesus by reliving Easter over and over again. Yet first, he must be willing to perceive a world where it is not, a world where there is no malice, a world where there is no evil. It is not necessary that you understand how you see the world without war. You don't need to understand how it'll happen. How will this take place? Nor should you try. For if he focuses on what you cannot understand, he will but emphasize his helplessness and let sin tell him that his enemy must be himself. Okay, so don't try and focus and understand and come up with a solution and try and fix the world and try and fight against evil. Because by the minute you start fighting against something, you're back in resistance, and what you resist persists, for you are that in resistance that needs to create enemies in order to know yourself. but let him only ask himself these questions, which he must decide to have it done for him. To have it done for him, I need to do nothing. And let's investigate these questions. This is a process of self-inquiry. This is the direct part. Do I desire a world I rule instead of one that rules me? You can answer for yourself. Do I desire a world where I am powerful instead of helpless? Do I desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin? Surely yes is the answer to all three. And do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? Now this, of course, we're all going to say yes, but let's investigate this last question, last unanswered question. You may have already answered the first three questions in your awareness and in yourself in truth, but not yet the last one. What does the last one say? And do I want to see what I have denied because it is the truth? Are you willing to let it all go and realize the light of awareness is all that you are? All that you are in your shared being with God, the awareness of being awareness itself. No memory of a world, no memory of a universe, no memory of being you, no memory of family members or dogs and cats and all your loved ones. All your loved ones and everyone else in this entire universe collapses as one holy Son of God with no memory of ever having existed, of ever having been a part of this illusionary dream called the universe. Are you willing to return in total silence with no memory to that which you are in truth? For this one still seems fearful and unlike the others. We want to return to God, but retain our identity and self, and then know all others that we love and keep some others out because they were evil. Yet there is no evil. These are all activities and one dream is mine. Yet reason would assure you they are all the same. We said this year would emphasize the sameness of things that are the same. This final question, which is indeed the last you need to decide, seems to hold a threat the rest would have lost for you. And this imagined difference attests to your belief that truth may be the enemy you may yet find, because truth means the end of you as this body-mind identity, and the return to what you are in truth and always have been and always will be in truth. The self-same essence is that which is God. Here then would seem to be the last remaining hope of finding sin and not accepting power. We want the power, but we want the separation. Forget not that the choice of sin or truth, helplessness or power, is the choice whether to attack or heal. Attack yourself or heal yourself, or know yourself as that which is eternally healed. For healing comes of power, an attack of helplessness. Whom you attack, you cannot want to heal. And so if you attack yourself, you don't want to truly heal. And how do you attack yourself? Every time you bring up the past suffering, resist the current presence, and project the fear of the past into the future. You're attacking self, because the eternal self is the eternal now. There is no past, present, or future. It's all the eternal now. And whom you would have healed must be the one you chose to be protected from attack, which is, of course, yourself. And what is this decision but the choice whether to see him through the body's eyes, the filters of identity, or let him be revealed to you through vision, the self raised into awareness of awareness itself. How this decision leads to its effects is not your problem. Don't worry about how, but what you want to see must be your choice. And that's a decision for why. This is a course in cause and not effect. And what is the cause? The fallen asleep mind. And what is the effect? The world we see. And if the cause is healed and known to itself, the eternal joy, love, peace, which is the self, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the Son of God, you, what is the effect? The extension of love, joy, peace, and self. Consider carefully your answer to the last question you have left unanswered still in your mind. And let your reason tell you that it must be answered and is answered in the other three. And then you will hear, you will be clear, and then it will be clear to you that as you look on the effects of sin in any form, if you see it, it's a sin. All you need is simply ask yourself, is this what I would see? Do I want to see this? And another way of asking that question is I could see peace instead of this. I could see love instead of what I look upon. I could see light and know myself instead of look on darkness, illusions, and people, places, things, and events, a universe of space, time, and matter. This is your one decision. This is the condition for what occurs. It is irrelevant how it happens, but not why. You have to get the why right. You have control of your why. You have control of this. And why? I want to know myself as that which is the joyous love of God. I search but to know myself as the love I sought my whole life. And if you choose to see a world without an enemy, in which you are not helpless, the means to see it will be given you. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Seek ye first to know thyself, and all else shall be given you. Why is the final question so important? Reason will tell you why. Because unless you want it with your whole heart, you truthfully want to know yourself as the love of God, everything else is irrelevant. Because everything else you've sought in this world, you've sought to make you happy. Why? Because there was an emptiness inside, and you thought that people, places, things, and events would make you happy. You acquired, you chased even the love of God, or wanting to know God, or wanting to understand non-duality, or wanting enlightenment. You've done because you wanted to be happy, and you wanted security and permanence of happiness. Yet if you look within and recognize the essence of self is the happiness, the love, the joy you've always sought, you'll also recognize that that essence is the essence of God, all pervading, forever extending as that which is the only reality in all of existence. So the reason always tells you why you want it. It is the same as the other three, except in time. The others are decisions that can be made and then unmade and made again. But truth is constant and implies a state where vacillations are impossible. You can desire a world you rule that rules you not and change your mind. Listen carefully. You can desire a world you rule that rules you not and change your mind. For the world you rule that rules you not is a world of the kingdom where you are the extension of God's love. Nothing interposed, nothing to block that awareness, nothing to block the light of awareness you are. You can desire to exchange your helplessness for power and lose the same desire as a little glint of sin still attracts you. You still want people, places, things, and events. You want to know God, but you want the special love relationship as opposed to the holy relationship. And you can want to see a sinless world and let an enemy tempt you to use the body's eyes and change what you desire and then go into attack. So you want to see a sinless world, you want to see a beautiful world, a joyful world, you want to see heaven, and then you open your mouth and you complain about someone else. We do it all the time. I do it still. But if we recognize as we bring it into awareness, we simply tell a story to let it go. And as you speak it, you realize, I'm done with this. Move on. In content, all the questions are the same. For each one asks if you are willing to exchange the world of sin, what the Holy Spirit sees, since it's this world, the world of sin denied. What does the Holy Spirit see? The eternal light of God. And therefore, those who look on sin are seeing the denial of the real world. And people that try and make this world into something it's not, and so fanciful and so beautiful, what you look upon even the most beautiful sunset is the denial of the kingdom of heaven. Yet when you see something beautiful outside you, you're not seeing beauty. You're seeing through beauty. You're seeing yourself as that which is the love, the light, the joy of God. Yet the last question adds the wish for constancy, because what's the purpose of love if it's not constant and eternal? In your desire to see the real world. So the desire becomes the only one you have. Seek ye first the kingdom. By answering the final question, yes, you add sincerity to the decisions you have already made to all of the rest. For only then have you renounced the option to change your mind again. So, in other words, you want it done for you. You're offering, you're surrendering, knowing you can't do it. It's done for you when you will to will thy God's will, and you step yourself out of the way. You stay vigilant only for God. And when a thought pops into awareness, you go, no thanks. Don't try and engage it. Don't try to rationalize it. Don't try and reason with ego. The reasonable cannot reason with the unreasonable. You simply say no to all thoughts, whether it appears in form, whether it appears as an idea, no thanks. When it is this that you do, not want, the rest are wholly answered. When you no longer want to engage with the activities of the dream, when you simply want the kingdom, first and foremost and only. Why do you think you are unsure the others have been answered? Could it be necessary that they be asked so often if they had? Until the last decision has been made, the answer is both yes and no. We want truth, but we want truth and illusion, and you can't. We want to know God, but we want to know each other. We want to know God, but we want special love relationship. For you have answered yes without perceiving that yes must mean not no. No one decides against his happiness, but he may do so if he does not see himself as the happiness, the love, the joy, which is God. And if he sees his happiness as ever changing, coming and going like ebbs and tides, now this, now that, now an elusive shadow attached to nothing, he does decide against it. Because a choice for God is a vigilance for God, a vigilance of awareness. Abide in stillness, abide in gratitude. When you pour back in the world, stay vigilant, stay aware of the awareness. And when activity in the form of a thought or an idea or a person as an idea comes at you to attack your peace, no thanks. Don't engage, don't reason, don't fight with it. No thanks. To whom does this thought appear? To the I am. Let's investigate the thought. What's it made of? It's always past. The past just regurgitates itself over and over again and tells you nothing new you haven't heard before. Elusive happiness, or happiness in changing form that shifts with time and place, is an illusion that has no meaning. You can be happy now and unhappy then. Someone makes you happy and then when they're gone, you're unhappy. It was never true. Happiness must be constant because it is attained by giving up the wish for the inconstant, for the ethereal, for the temporal, for the world, people, places, things, and events. Joy cannot be perceived through constant vision because joy is peace and motion, and constant peace and motion becomes joy, and constant joy lifts and becomes the awareness of love itself. And constant vision can be given only those who wish for constancy, for consistency. The power of the power of the Son of God's desire remains the proof that he is wrong. He is wrong who sees himself as helpless. And yet the power is there, and you maintain that power of helplessness if you believe you're not the Son of God, because your power is given to all your decisions in the same power that is given to the Son of God to choose for reality. Desire what you want, and you will look on it and think it is real. No thought but has the power to release or to kill, and none can leave the thinker's mind or leave him unaffected. The power is within you to choose in both directions. Let's just quickly wrap this up. We'll just do A Course in Miracles, text chapter 1, reason and perception, the last part. This is a short part, so I can wrap this up before the load shedding happens. The inner shift. So the question is asked, are thoughts then dangerous? To bodies, yes. The thoughts that seem to kill are those that teach the thinker he can be killed. You, the objectified localization of the body mind. And so he dies because of what he learned. And he goes from life to death. The final proof, he valued the inconstant more than constancy. The inconsistent more than consistency. Surely he thought he wanted happiness. We all did. We all do. Yet he did not desire it more than everything else because it was the truth and therefore must be constant. The constancy of joy, the consistency of joy is a condition quite alien to your understanding. You've had it, you've lost it. You had it again and you lost it. And every time you had it, you lost it quicker. And then every time you tried to gain it, it took a little longer to get there. And how much did you compromise and sacrifice of yourself in all these funny, special love relationships in order to feel loved? When nothing outside you could make you feel loved, but only the recognition that you are loved could allow you to realize, I am the love of God. Yet if you could even imagine what it must be, you would desire it, although you understand it not. Imagine feeling this unconditional love continuously, like love you've never known, as the very essence of yourself forever, and it permanently stays with you. It starts with peace, it lifts the joy, it becomes love. For it is love. The constancy of happiness has no exceptions, no change of any kind. It's the essential nature of the essence of what you are. The essential nature of you is happiness. It is as unshakable as is the love of God for his creation, you. Sure in his vision as its creator is in what he knows. Happiness looks on everything and sees it is the same. It sees not the ephemeral, for it desires everything to be like itself and sees it so, the permanence of the love of God. Nothing has the power to confound its constancy, because its own desire cannot be shaken, for its desire to know itself is its only desire. It comes as surely unto those who see the final question is necessary to the rest, as peace must come to those who choose to heal and not to judge and not to engage in thought. Reason will tell you that you cannot ask for happiness inconstantly. For if what you desire you receive, and happiness is constant, then you need ask for it but once to have it always. And if you do not have it always, being what it is, you did not ask for it. You asked for something else in order to gain it, and that something else dissolved through your fingers as you try to hold on to water, which wasn't real, what you wanted. You thirsted. You wanted to hold it as an object. And the minute you try to control it, it was gone, because you asked for people, places, things, and events in order to be happy. And God cannot answer impersonal desire. So you simply ask, I want to know myself as the love of God. I want to know happiness. I want to be happy. I want to be your happiness, as opposed to I want that in order to be happy. For no one fails to ask for his desire of something he believes holds out some promise of the power of giving it. He may be wrong in what he asks, where and of what, yet he will ask because desiring is a request and asking for, and made by one who God himself will never fail to answer. So everything that asks to know itself as joy, love, peace, and yet may ask incorrectly one's objects in order to know itself, is still the call from within. It's the Holy Spirit calling us to know ourselves as love. But while we're mistaken as to what we are, while we're mistaken to think we're body minds as opposed to the essence of what we are, we ask for things to fulfill the body mind, as opposed to asking to know the essence of that which is the eternal. God has already given all that he really wants. What does he want? The love of God, the love to be extended. And what's the extension of God's love? The sonship. What is that? You. Yet what he is uncertain of, God cannot give, because God is not uncertain of anything. And what is uncertain means it's not true. He has no idea, God has no idea of the activities going on in his son's mind. People, places, things, and events. He knows that his son is asleep, dreaming a separation. He knows a part of the son's awake, and he calls to that for the rest of the son to awaken and return knowingly to that which is the kingdom, the love of God. For he does not desire it while he remains uncertain, and God's giving must be incomplete unless it is received. Not that God's giving could be incomplete, but it's incomplete in your awareness. You who complete God's will, and you who are God's happiness, whose will is powerful as his power, a power that is not lost in your illusions, think carefully why you have not yet decided how you would answer the final question. Your answer to the others has made it possible to help you be already partly sane. This course is talking to the sane part of the mind, to let go of the insanity, to let go of the illusions, or you wouldn't be reading this. And yet it is the final one that really asks if you are willing to be wholly sane, wholly one, wholly atoned, wholly know yourself as that which is the love of God. What is the holy instant but God's appeal to you to recognize what he has given you, your eternal self, as the extension of his love? Here is the great appeal to reason, the awareness of what is always there to see, the happiness that could be always yours. Here is the constant peace you could experience forever. Here is what denial is denied, revealed to you. Sorry, here should be a comma there. Here is what denial has denied, in other words, revealed to you. For here is the final question is already answered. So what you've denied is now revealed. And what you ask for is given. Here is the future now, the eternal now. For time is powerless because of your desire for what will never change and can never change in the eternal now. Eternity doesn't mean time forever. Eternity means always here now, the eternal now, eternity. For you have asked that nothing stand between the holiness of your relationship and your awareness of its holiness as the awareness of what is holy, you. Thank you. I hope this has been clear. We will then continue next week with the next chapter. You can go back and watch this on YouTube again and just reinforce it until it becomes your all-pervading, all sense of self, all sense of awareness itself. The I am that I am. The future is here now as the eternal now. For you are the most powerful essence in the universe, because your essence is made from the self-same essence as your creator. There's nothing you cannot do, but the only thing you can do is nothing but extend the love of God as yourself into all your creations. And you can only do that when you knowingly know yourself. And you can only knowingly know yourself when you surrender the body-mind identity and invite Holy Spirit, the memory of God in you, to reveal itself as you, as that which is the Christ mind, the Son of God, the extension of God's love in the eternal now, as that which is and that which is forever. Stop there and we'll do some questions.